a warm welcome to Kushulia UK's Women Empowerment event, November 2023. And first of all, I'd like to say a warm welcome and greet our speakers this evening. So in order on my screen, we have Linda Kattan, who is joining us from Northern Nevada, US of A. We have Esther Sarlo joining us from British Columbia. We have Ramona Mooney joining us from
Michigan.
Michigan. Do you know? I was like, how do I pronounce that again? Michigan. Yes. And we have Sophia Manarolis joining us from Greece or Greece. Excellent. So, as I get started, just a little bit about Kushulia UK, which is a registered not-for-profit community organization to empower and uplift women. The founder is Ritu Sharma, a women empowerment ambassador who continues to dedicate her life to bringing women of this world to find their own power and true worth. Growing organically, the aim of the organization is to empower women, connect communities, raise awareness of issues that affect women, with the unique objective not just to support those who are in dire need, but to support women who are on a journey to create a life of fulfillment through their personal, professional, and financial growth. Projects include personal and professional development, health and well-being, domestic awareness, and support for victims. We have a social media presence, which includes a WhatsApp group, a Facebook page, Instagram as well, and our YouTube channel. So, and there is a website, kushuliauk.com. So, without further ado, and I'm watching the time, Sophia, without further ado, there's a reason why I say this. I'd like to introduce our very first speaker for the evening, Sophia Manarolis. And Sophia was a major depression and suicide attempt survivor on multiple occasions, who is truly grateful to still be alive today to spread gratitude and hope worldwide. She is a mental health strategist, author, speaker, founder of I'm Alive movement, and a gratitude Jedi master. Sophia has committed her life, education, and career to, and this is what HOPE stands for, helping open people's eyes concerning what the monster of depression is really like, and adamantly seeks to free humanity of unnecessary suffering. I hand the floor over to you, Sophia.
Thank you so much, Carol. I'm so grateful to be here right now and for this opportunity to share my story and to continue to live out my purpose of, yes, helping open people's eyes, right? So bringing hope to humanity in more ways than one, including opening people's eyes. So Carol did mention something about the time moments ago, like we didn't want to be rushing through her introduction or anything like this, but it's all going to make sense pretty soon, because in 3 minutes, it's going to be, well, it'll be 9:16 p.m. for me in Greece. It'll be, I believe, 7:16 in the UK. And it'll be 3:16 somewhere in the world. It's going to all make sense real soon. But for now, I just want to let you know where it's going to be 3:16 at that point in time. It'll be 3:16 p.m. in St. Vincent, Guadeloupe, St. Kitts, Barbados, Bolivia, Nova Scotia, Newfoundland, Bermuda, Trinidad and Tobago, Antigua, Puerto Rico. It'll be 3:16 a.m. in Beijing, other parts of China, Bali and other parts of Indonesia, parts of Russia, Perth in Australia, Shanghai, Singapore, just to name a few. So now, why is this number such a big deal? Essentially, on March 16th of 2011, and the third month and the 16th day, because in North America, when we usually put out a date, we first start off with the month and then we put the date. Whereas I believe in Europe, it's the other way around, so it would have been the 16th of the third. But since I am born and raised in Canada, I would go with the 3/16 of 2011. I tried to die. Now, ever since then, I've been extremely grateful to be alive and extremely grateful for the second chance I've been given at life and for this incredible gift, really, called life. And I have vowed to spread my message across the planet and to spread the I'm Alive movement, aka the 316 movement, to, again, every corner of the earth, because ultimately I believe life is too short to be and feel anything else but alive, and way too many people are either suffering unnecessarily or suffering in silence. So the twofold purpose of the I'm Alive movement, or the 316 movement, like some tend to call it, so I'm considering the name change at this point. The twofold purpose is to prevent as many people as possible from ever having to experience burnout. Oh, and that's the alarm for 316 going off. So before I continue, I mean, I might as well finish off what the purpose is, but it's to prevent burnout and depression and suicide attempts and whatnot. And it's also to normalize the conversation around the depression as much as possible, to the point where one day we won't even remember that it was a thing to not talk about depression, or for there to be a stigma around it. So now it's 316 somewhere. I already mentioned the parts of the world where it is 316. And what I invite people to do at this time is just to pause for a minute and think of what you're grateful for, whether it's from your day today, whether it's from yesterday, whether it's from life at large. Just take a minute and really think of what you're grateful for. Embody gratitude. Take this nice mindful minute right now with me. I know I'm really grateful to be giving this speech at this point in time, to be sharing this moment with you. I'm grateful to be alive, like I've said before. I'm grateful that it was 26 degrees Celsius in the middle of November here in Crete, which is what, I don't know, in Fahrenheit, 77? I'm grateful that I was able to launch my book this past 316 of 2023, 12 years to the day of my attempt and my life. I was able to launch my book called Depression Doesn't Discriminate. So tons to be grateful for. And given this is a women empowerment talk, I mean, at this point, I just want us to sit with this for a second. 12 years ago on that day, I tried to die. And 12 years later, I launched my book. Now, in between, there have been other rough moments. There was another depressive episode. I've lived through 4 major depressive episodes and more attempts to end my life than I can count on my fingers and toes. And yet here I am, still grateful for having experienced all of that. I feel like I've mastered the art of converting adversity into prosperity at this point, given that I'm able to say that I am grateful for having experienced those major depressive episodes and including those attempts to end my life. I actually am grateful. It's hard for one to grasp that at first, but believe me, I really am. And the more we are able to convert adversity into prosperity, the more we foster greater mental resilience, which better prepares us for trying times. So now, the piece about 316 and pausing at that time, well, initially it was 316 day, right? I survived on that day. The number has been in my life, was in my life for 14 years prior to that attempt to end my life. And it's very much explained in the book. There's a whole chapter about it. So due to time constraints and whatnot, I'm not going to get into the whole story as to why the number was in my life before, but I will share the story as to why it's become such a big deal ever since, beyond that day and celebrating being alive on that day and turning that day into a day where I'd like it to be one day on a calendar all over the world, where people pause on that day all over the world to embrace, to embody gratitude, to share it throughout the entire day, whether online or not, but online would help spread the contagion of gratitude even further, and to normalize the conversation. So if anyone's had any type of mental health related struggle, to come out and speak about it that day, whether online or with someone else, in order to minimize and eventually eliminate that suffering and silence, right, that comes around depression and whatnot. So now, whatever the case may be, essentially, when I recovered from that depressive episode, that was my 3rd depressive episode. And for those who don't know, because very often I've noticed this isn't very commonly known in society, once you've experienced one major depressive episode, you become more vulnerable and prone to having another in the future, should you ever be under a period of great duress or stress or whatnot. And so also, if ever one experiences a suicide attempt, they become more vulnerable and prone to going through another attempt in the future, should they ever be depressed. So now I keep saying that I want to prevent as many people as possible from burning out and crossing that fine line into depression, because again, if you do cross that fine line, I don't doubt there's a lot of help out there, and I'm more than willing to provide multiple resources. It's not just about seeing me to get help about this. There's so many different healing modalities out there. But I would just love to avoid you having to go through that to begin with, because then it just makes you more vulnerable and prone to having to go through it again if ever you are, struggling at some point in your life. So this is why it's become so important for me to prevent this from happening to people. And I have chosen gratitude to do so. There are, of course, multiple ways. Yes, loving ourselves and loving ourselves authentically and understanding what our needs are, living according to our needs, making decisions vis-a-vis, as we say in French, to our needs, whether in our career, in our relationships, in our life at large, right? So there are more pieces to this beyond gratitude. But if everyone just started with practicing and embodying gratitude for maybe less than 1% of their day, for what's been proven out there in regards to gratitude and how it pretty much melts off the stress, because it's really, I'm not gonna say not possible, but very challenging to be both grateful and upset at the same time. It's hard to be grateful and anxious at the same time, or grateful and fearful at the same time, or grateful and angry at the same time. So you can choose in that moment, right? Gratitude trumps pretty much everything, including hate, right? So I'm really much championing gratitude and really much championing pausing at 3:16 p.m. It's so simple. Everyone right now can put their alarms on their phone for 3:16 p.m. for it to go off and to just take that minute like I took earlier with us here. And for those, this was my response, right? It's almost as if another movement came out of this movement of pausing at 3:16. I got a lot of people telling me, well, I have meetings at 3:16, or I'm usually coaching someone at that time. I can't have my phone going off. And I'm like, okay, well, at the 16th minute of every hour, it is 3:16 somewhere. So pick the 16th minute of an hour that works best for you. If you know that you're not typically in meetings at 7:16 p.m., then set your alarm for 7:16 p.m. Let it go off and know that there's someone else in the world who is practicing gratitude with you at that point. Right? I want us to actively elevate the gratitude frequency in the planet. Gratitude is free, and it boggles my mind to what extent people don't know how to practice it and embody it and share it. So now, why it is I started posting then was because after I recovered from that suicide attempt, it took a couple months to recover from that depressive episode. And again, more on that in the book, which, by the way, was launched worldwide on Amazon back on March 16th of this year. Minus the Middle East, working on getting a different ISBN for it to be available on Amazon over there, but otherwise it's pretty much available worldwide on Amazon. And if ever, you'd like, you could always go to freefirstchapter.com and download the first chapter. So until maybe you don't want to order it, maybe you're not in the mood to have this kind of read, because I'm not going to lie, it's a pretty vivid account, right? It says depression doesn't discriminate, a no holds barred account of what this monster is really like. I honestly, I let it all out. There's a lot of vivid detail about what it was like, yes, to attempt to end my life, because the point is to really open people's eyes about this so that they do take better care of their mental health. I'm going to repeat it. Depression doesn't discriminate. No matter the age, race, religion, sexuality, relationship status, socioeconomic status, whatever, it doesn't matter. It doesn't discriminate. It can happen to anyone on this Zoom call right now, or watching the replay at a later date, anyone in your family, anyone across the planet, anyone, right? It just does not discriminate. So I made it a point to just go all out and give all the details so I could really wake as many people up as possible to then take better care and not, take better care of their mental health and not allow it to go down the drain, because it could literally happen to anyone. So now going back to that, when I recovered, a couple months later, I was just reflecting on the date, right? It hadn't occurred to me at the time that that was the date that I was attempting to end my life. Having reached that point, again, I speak about it more in the book. Having reached that point, I'm pretty delusional, right? If you're convinced at this point, if there's a monster, oh, that's the alarm from earlier for 316. If you're convinced at this point that if a monster has convinced you that your family will be much better off if you end your own life, then at that point you've reached delusion. So you don't really know what day it is. And so I didn't really, at least not consciously, know what day it was. Now, moving along later on, when I did recover and I realized what day it was and how the number has followed me in my life, and there's quite a connection with the Bible verse, you know, John 3:16. There's a few things there and whatnot. As I started thinking about it over and over, and how I really do think this is a movement blessed by God, as I reflected on it, suddenly those numbers became pretty ingrained in my mind. And I would find myself posting a status on Facebook at 3:16 p.m. Now, this is 2011. We don't really have Twitter. No, we don't have Twitter at that point. We don't have Instagram. We don't have a lot of things. So really Facebook was the place to be, to just make a status update. If anybody remembers what, you know, we would just get up and put a status update, nothing more than that. And so I started making a status update at 3:16 every day. It'd be like, it's 3:16 and I'm stuck in traffic. It's 3:16 and I'm having coffee at this cafe downtown. It's 3:16 and I'm writing a paper for a class that's mandatory that I really don't want to be taking, right? It's 3:16 and I'm really enjoying this late lunch. Whatever the case may be, whether it was something frustrating or pleasant or whatnot, I would just get on and post it on Facebook. Now, I wasn't really telling people why I was doing that, and I don't even know to what extent I quite knew yet why I was doing that, but I had started doing that. And at some point, because I was a little overwhelmed with the notifications and I was doing some postgraduate work and those other extracurricular activities and things going on in my family, I decided to deactivate Facebook. Imagine, I didn't have all those other platforms that overwhelm us today. It was just, I used to post a lot of photos and so many comments, engagement. I was like, no, we need a break. And when I took that break, once I deactivated, something really magical started happening. Within that week, I was receiving text messages at 3:16 p.m. from people that were personal friends, right? Not just that Facebook friend you add and never really speak to. Actual friends who had my phone number started text messaging me and saying, hey, it's 3:16. Where are you? What are you doing? What's up? So at that point, I was like, wow, okay, I was an influencer without even trying to be an influencer. I've influenced you to reflect the 3:16, but you're reflecting on what I'm doing? No. If I'm going to get people to pause at that time, I need you to make that time a little bit more valuable. Like, don't be wondering what Sophia's doing, right? Pause as well, and embrace what you're doing and be grateful for the fact that you're alive in that moment to be doing it. So I knew there was something there. I couldn't quite put my finger on it just yet. And then it was 5 years to the day of 3:16 days. So it happened in 2011. So 5 years later in 2016, I decided to be very honest on Instagram at that point. Still didn't post a photo. It was like a written note. And I just said, you know what? It's 3:16 today. A lot of you have been asking me over the years or wondering why it is I post at this time, like what the whole purpose of this is. And well, here goes. 5 years ago today, I tried to die. And ever since then, I'm really grateful to be alive. And when I'm posting at 3:16, it's because I'm very grateful to be alive, to be doing whatever it is that I am doing at that time. And there was born a movement. Because the phone calls started coming in and a lot of people just were baffled. This is still 2016, so we're not really that open yet about mental health related struggles, let alone suicide attempts. So then the following year, I said I was going to go bigger. Every year I was going to do something more. And I was a month before my wedding and I couldn't do that much because I was planning a big Fat Creek wedding. I had my own private practice. There was so many moving parts. My personal trainer was trying to turn me into Fergie. Too many things were going on. I was like, well, we can't overdo this. I don't need to burn out, by my wedding. So I decided to just record this 1-minute video, because at the time we also didn't have more than a minute anyway on Instagram. See how things have evolved over time. You can go a whole hour now on Instagram. 1 minute. I said the same thing in a minute. And that video started going viral. Throughout the day, again, the amount of calls, notifications, like, okay, you need to pause this right now. You need to get back to the wedding, your practice, keeping things in order, planning the honeymoon, Again, a lot of moving parts. Big Fat Creek wedding, right? And so the wedding happened. So did the honeymoon. And then a month after the honeymoon, So did another depressive episode. And this time it was 13 months long. So every other episode before was 6 months. This one was 13. And this is where there were more attempts to end my life, like I said, that I can count on my fingers and toes. And I don't have dates for them because I wasn't caught or hospitalized or anything of this nature like the first time around. Now, it's been 5 years and a couple months since I've recovered. I'm again really grateful to be here right now to be sharing this story. I must say persistence is a thing with me. At first, I wasn't, I was considering not doing the counseling thing anymore, the counseling thing or the coaching thing. I have a master's in counseling psychology and a life coaching certification, and I combine that work, and I offer mental health strategy. I call myself a mental health strategist or an emotional wealth coach. And I didn't want to do that at first because I said, no, you know what? I don't want to leave people hanging again, because it had happened on a couple of occasions where I experienced depressive episodes and then I couldn't continue therapeutic work with people, and just knowing what that could do to them. And I was like, no, I don't want anyone to ever be left hanging like that ever again. So I think I'm just going to have to call it quits. My dad at that point, just as I got better recovering from that last episode, my dad received a very harsh prostate cancer diagnosis. And from there, we all decided to jump into the family business. My husband and I moved into the home to help with the caregiving. And so I was like, you know what, this is what it is. You're pretty good at social media and whatnot. You're going to help out the family business. And let's just call it a day. You did the counseling thing for about 10 years at school. That's it. It's fine. And then along the way, because I had to channel my own anger with everything that was going on with my dad, my way of grieving at that point, I decided, because I've always been really good at planning events and parties, I said, you know what, I'm going to put together a fundraiser for the month of November, which is, for men's, it used to be for men's cancers. The Movember Foundation, for those who might not be aware, just look it up. It's usually a lot of the activity takes place in the month of November. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to look into doing something with this. And then I found out that the Movember Foundation was now also focusing on men's mental health. So I thought, okay, well, you know what? This is my way of still contributing to improving people's mental health and awareness without doing the counseling and the coaching piece and, risking leaving anyone behind in the process if ever I got ill again. Whatever the case may be, fast forward a couple months later, unfortunately, one of my good friends, her sister died by suicide. And I had only met her maybe 10 days prior because she had moved to Florida maybe 20 something years prior to that. So I never really got to know her until she came back from Florida to get treatment in Montreal. And her whole family wanted her to meet me. They felt like I'll probably connect with her and my story and whatnot, which did happen. She really did feel for the first time that someone understood her and I could complete her sentences and whatnot. And she was at that level that I had been as well, that I described very vividly in the book. But again, it all happened really fast. This monster operates the way it does, and we lost her. And at that point, I was heartbroken, devastated, triggered, you name it. But at the same time, I was realigned with my path. I decided to get back onto this and dedicate my movement to her. I found myself going live again and talking about this, and I hadn't processed what had happened to myself over those 13 months. But at that point, just hearing the judgment, right? Being in a Greek household where people are coming to visit and express condolences to the family, but on the sidelines, be questioning, judging, freaking out, and even doing name calling and whatnot, I was appalled. And a couple days following this, because in Canada, this is where I was living at the time, there was a nationwide, they still do this every year in January, Bell Let's Talk Day, where we're supposed to normalize the conversation. Well, I decided to normalize that conversation, and I went live and raw and all of that, describing everything that happened to me and what was going on through my mind. And the response was huge. And here I am carrying on with this. And I vowed to never ever stop. The goal is to 316ize the planet, right? And have everyone aware of this movement and everyone practicing gratitude at least for 1% of their day, or even that minute at 316. but that is the goal. And so I'm so grateful again to be alive and to be here with you, to have shared this story, because life is too short to be and feel anything else but alive. Thank you.
Oh, dear Sophia, thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much. And do put links in the chat.
I will. Thank you
Oh,
again.
awesome. Thank you, Sophia.
Bye.
Right. Okay. So now it gives me also, and any questions for Sophia, do save them at the end when we open up our Q&A. Right now, it gives me great pleasure to introduce you to our second speaker, who is Ramona Leone Mooney, joining us from Michigan. Ramona was raised in Michigan by a family practicing law. Discussing civil liberties by the TV, Ramona studied ecosystems, earning her Bachelor of Science degree at Michigan State University at the College of Human Ecology. She has studied spiritualism and health, certified in therapeutic healing while living in California and Hawaii. She has a pacifying effect on people. She's an accomplished entrepreneur with 30 years running her creative workroom in Ann Arbor, Michigan. She had advanced certifications in brain health and neuroencoding specialities. And with that, I yield the floor to you, Ramona.
Well, thank you. Can you hear me? Wonderful. Okay. I bet all of you, I've reimagined a second career later in life. Previously, for 35 years, I used a sewing machine, making it into many machines in a large design workroom. 6 independent contractors who good sewers in their own right. And we had cable TV advertising and a company van. We were booked 3 months in advance for 10 years in a row, which was almost like job security. That's how I saw it. My business card tagline was anything you can imagine, custom made. During the design consultation, I had asked every customer to open up their imagination for what I could make for them. This was the most fascinating part, seeing their imaginations open up. Often I'd see blank faces, so I'd show them my photo album of jobs that I had done for other people. And I'd suggest that their slipcover have a design like the arms like this one or the skirt like that one. And slowly, it didn't take long, their faces would light up. They'd close the photo album, want to choose fabric, and have me draw out on my order form their slipcover. They signed that, and they signed the list of charges. I had to stop this job that I dearly loved, the whole company I was running, to save my hands from arthritis and my back from being permanently bent over. In my 60s, I reimagined a business of promoting imagination, intuition, awareness, and creativity. This newer form you can find at tappingintuition.com and on my online programs on teachable.com under the name Pasha's Salon. Today, I've tailored, no pun intended, I've tailored this talk for you, Harnessing Intuition for Empowerment, a muscle developing habit. We all know about the male bravado, the monkey see, monkey do habit that it is. We are gaining representation in every field as women. But when you develop your own intuition, And mine is different from Carol's. Everyone has a unique intuition. You'll learn how to divert male bravado, directing its energy away from you and dissolving its energy. If you doubt your power, let me give you a peek at our history as women. In the 8th and 9th centuries, 3 Byzantine women, Irene, Euphrosyne, and Theodora, changed history for 1,000 years. They did it through the men they married, but they continued as widows for a lot longer. I learned about this during my research on clothing as rites of passage through society worldwide. You can read the whole story in this book by Judith Heron. She's a scholar at King's College in London. These Byzantine women did not have a playbook or a business plan. I suspect they were using all their senses, including their intuition. When I was a girl, my parents would dress for political events. Dad was a lawyer and Mom was the daughter of a city councilman under the mayor. And later, Grandpa was elected. He was twice elected circuit court judge. Besides our upper middle class lifestyle, Mom and Dad displayed passionate love, romantic dancing in the kitchen, honeymoon vacations, fantastic family vacations, jewelry and minks. You see, it was the 1950s and 60s. When I was 12, Dad had undiagnosed bipolar disorder. You see, it wasn't even recognized then. Slowly, I watched everything fall apart. From age 10 to 12, I had a place to think at the top of a huge tree in our yard. I climbed all the way up there. And from that perch up there, staring at the sky, I asked, what was happening? Why were they separating? I did not expect an answer, but this is what I heard and saw. It surprised me. So are you ready? Everything is made of energy. Energy is at different speeds, and it often bounces off partially dense or fully dense things, reacting in like a ricochet bouncing effect. I realized that the energy holding my life together at that time was changing. Mom vibrated at her speed, Dad at his own speed. Reality is temporary, energy is real. And I ought to just flow with it. Later in life, when Grandma pulled me out of a Master's of Fine Art degree after the first semester, because she changed her mind about spending the money, I realized that that energy had abruptly stopped, but not my energy. Within months, I returned to Southern California and enrolled myself in the Laguna Beach Academy of Art with my own money. Art was another transformational tool, and I hope all of you have a creative outlet. So when I was running my design workroom back in Michigan, what resonated was to make custom fitted slip covers, which was our signature product. And at the initial design sales meeting, people would hand me a check for $500 to $2,300 on average, which was all the money for the fabric and 50% of the labor upfront in one check. This reserved a time on our workroom calendar for their job to be done exclusively. They reserved that time. In reality, what really happened is that fabrics will often be back ordered for 4 to 6 weeks. And what was I to do to get each person's job done on the time frame that I promised with those big checks? I asked the air, the energy in my workroom, what to do each day. Sometimes it was to take the afternoon off or to go to a networking meeting or work with fabric that had arrived. The result was that every customer was satisfied. All of this was intuition combined with business growth strategies. Here's how to access your own intuition while lifting your ability for better brain health. There's 5 of them. Number 1, quiet your environment, even if you have to go sit out in your car. Number 2, calm your mind. I have a PDF called the Empty Heads Exercise. Number 3, listen to your body. Our bodies have superior intelligence. Number 4, observe and reflect. Keep a journal or make notes in your phone or use post-it notes, whatever works for you. And number 5, cultivate mindfulness. Keep talking to yourself until you are your own best friend. Want to take intuitive leaps? Begin with small, low stakes decisions. Follow your intuition and observe the outcome. Journal your experiences. Keep note of the times you followed your intuition. Note the process and the result. This will help validate your intuitive ability. By emailing me today through December 31st, you'll be in a drawing for a golden journal with its golden pen and golden pen holder. Besides journaling your experiences, trust and act. Once you feel a strong intuitive pull, trust it enough to act on it. Just like any skill, it takes practice. By following these steps, you're not just accessing your intuition, you're also honing a natural faculty that has been celebrated across cultures and through ages for its ability to guide and inform beyond the limits of natural thought. I got married to a tall, handsome man, and he had many skills with so much potential that he did not use. I helped with every endeavor. For our news magazine, I sold advertising, especially the back cover of the magazine, and answered the phone. For our water purification business, I troubleshot every problem for happy customers. When he quit, which he had a habit of doing, he said, my sewing business was now our family business. Have you had moments like that? Pivotal moments in your life? As he turned into a sometimes brilliant business advisor, but a full-time housemaid and cook addicted to painkillers. I tried for many years to keep us together. I ended up with filing legal papers. We can't control what other people do. When it's family, it hurts. We can hold a belief and expand with opportunity. I believed this at the time. Everything I needed was right at hand. Everything I need is right at hand. And that's where I found it, readily available. A positive, progressive, loving belief goes a long way. Intuition is a mysterious thing right now and often misunderstood. It's part of our human cognition. It's the ability to understand something instinctively without the need for conscious reasoning. It's the sudden clarity of your mind, the gut feeling that guides your decisions, and it can be the hunch that turns out to be right. in the end result. Introduce yourself to me by using info@pashacoach.com. I'll send you a link to my calendar for a discovery call. It's free to see if we're a good fit. From there, we will set up one or a series of coaching calls to set you on the right path for your intuition and brain health. I have so many strategies. Remember, you'll be entered to win this. At Michigan's Mom Sewing Services, everything was custom, and it's still custom designed for you. Sometimes people need a specific 30-minute time frame during a lunch break or after work or after the kids' bath time. I keep track of progress with neuro-encoding techniques to change an automatic negative thought that repeats over and over in your mind that has the power to keep you stuck into a forward-moving replacement thought to move you in the way that you desire to go. I have many more life experiences than what I've shared. I use compassion, empathy, and understanding to be with you where you are now at the time of coaching. I make notes, and they can be shared with you if you wish, and we make progress that you can use in the lifestyle that you have right now. In neuroencoding, there's a technique to momentarily create a blank slate in your mind. From that blank slate, we imprint your far more progressive thought. Following up with you, I do every time. I act on suggestions to make my work more relevant and effective. Out of these suggestions, I'm creating a children's book entitled I've Got a Feeling, and a growing community on Zoom called Share Your Vision every Friday night at 7 p.m. Eastern US from the beginning of January to the end of October. This is not rocket science or even brain science for you to understand. This is the use of a forgotten natural human sense, your sixth sense, just like your sight, hearing, taste, touch, and smell. Our not too distant ancestors used their intuition when they were growing their own food on their own land. They needed to use everything they had to keep from perishing. So they kept an eye on the weather, sensed it, so they could prepare for it, bring the animals in, all of that. They made the Farmer's Almanac, which is it's a total projection, the Farmer's Almanac. Then the industrial age came, and we were told to work 8 to 12 hours a day, pick up our paycheck, and buy our food at the grocery store. And then we were exhausted. Next has been the information age, directing us to look at a screen and trust the information there. Presently, we're not trusting it. Using your intuition is a higher level of trusting yourself. In our book, Tapping into the Power of Your Intuition, Guidance to Reach Beyond Limits for Exceptional Results, we take you by the hand to guide you to your own intuition. This is how you can apply intuition in your daily life. People like Oprah, Steve Jobs, and Einstein learned its value, and they applied it for their own amazing results. We have power. Mothers who know intuition with their children, they might not know how to use it in business or empty nested. I created a mommy alarm. I talk about it in the book to protect your loved ones. You can tune into anyone's energy and follow it and know when you should come to their aid. The best way to start is to email me at pashacoach.com, info@pashacoach.com, and I'll respond with an action plan. I want to thank Carol, Esther, Sophia, and Linda, and thank you very much. I can't hear you, Carol.
I can't believe I just did that.
You turned it off instead of on, right?
Oh, yes. Thank you so much, Ramona. Absolutely wonderful. And as Linda says, beautiful work. So save your questions till the end when I open up the floor for Q&A. So, all right. And now it gives me equally great pleasure to introduce you to our next speaker, who is Esther Sarlo, joining us from British Columbia. As the cornerstone of the game-changing website, www.mindmyself.com, Esther is the catalyst for creating this beautiful space where healing, connections, and collaborations can emerge. As a voice for the body's role in healing and wholeness in the universe, Esther is an entrepreneur, facilitator, speaker, and writer who is passionately committed to making it easier for you to live and speak your most authentic life, helping you become your own best health advocate. You know why? Because you matter. Esther, take it away.
Thank you so much, Carol, and thank you, Sophia and Ramona, for speaking before. What fabulous women and wonderful messages. I think we're all on the same page here, and it fits so well with the Kashulia vision of empowering women. As you heard, I'm Esther, and as the founder and CEO of Mind Myself, I'm just noticing there's sunlight. I'll take it. We're in BC here. Just a little side. We don't get sun much in November, so I'm gonna celebrate the light across my heart. How's that for you? As the founder and CEO of Mind Myself, I am so thrilled to bring this work to the world. It's a platform that has information from the complementary, holistic, and integrative health perspectives. And I created this in response to a lack of centralized access. I know there's WebMD, and that's for the Western medicine perspective. I don't know if you know about it. It's a great resource to go and look for a bunch of things. But there's so much information out there, but how do you know who to trust? And how do you know that somebody with integrity has put it together and put it all in one place? So I decided, okay, that's me. If no one else is going to do it, I am. And so we created this to help, as Carol mentioned, to help women everywhere become their own best health advocate. And today I'm going to explain a little bit about what that means. And before I dive into that, a quote from Renee Peterson Trudeau says, "Nurturing yourself is not selfish. It is essential to your well-being." And I think as women, we have not put ourselves first overall. And I loved what Sophia talked about, gratitude, and Ramona talked about intuition and imagination and becoming your own best friend. And why should we become our own best health advocate? Because it goes along with those two things that we've been talking about as well. And if we don't do it for ourselves, no one else is going to do it for us. Truly, it's not. And when I was putting the title together for this talk, and I thought, well, how do you make this sexy or appealing? I don't know. I don't think you can. But at root, if we don't do this, I believe the world suffers. Because when we take care of ourselves and we prioritize our own health, then the world changes. You've heard of the butterfly effect before. I think this is one of the aspects of that. Chatelaine, in February of this year, 2023, said people are falling through the cracks. They're not getting diagnoses and treatments or referrals that they need for their health. And they had this to say also. Self-advocating involves speaking up about your feelings, asking for what you need, and making sure your rights are respected, all of which can help your healthcare providers treat you more efficiently and effectively. When I was thinking about creating mine myself, I had this vision in my mind of women in their 40s and up. Because we have been ignored, dismissed, forgotten, and relegated to corners. Well, no more, I say. No more. There is a space for us. There is a place for us. And I think we can create that space inside of ourselves too. I had a journey that I started on, and I think that really was the root to me creating this with a very small team, myself. And it was about 15 years ago. I woke up one morning with pins and needles in my arm. You ever have that feeling where it's just not quite right and you think maybe I slept on it funny? Anyone else experienced that? Yeah, one time or two in your life? Yeah, I see your hands. Well, it didn't go away all day. And I thought, well, I'll just move it. I'll just keep exercising. I'll do what I can, massage it, love myself. By the end of the day, it hadn't gone away. So I called my doctor's office. At the time, I had a doctor. We have a massive shortage of doctors here in Canada. And in BC, 6 million people do not have a doctor.
Wow.
In Canada, 6 million people, and in BC, 1 million people. So that's 1/5 of the population. Need to correct that. So as I had the privilege at the time of calling my doctor, and he said, well, if it's been going on all day, maybe you should go to the hospital. So I said, okay, I'll do that. I went to the emergency, and it just happened to be the day when all of the computers went offline. So I waited for hours and hours, and I looked really healthy. So they kind of didn't pay attention to me because I didn't have struggles with my breathing. It didn't seem like I was having a heart attack, and I was functional and talking and fully present. So they talked to me and they said, well, we don't know what it is, but go home and we'll give you an ultrasound on your arm tomorrow morning. Next day, I come in and the young woman's doing an ultrasound on my arm. And all of a sudden she got really quiet and she rushed out of the room. Within an hour, I was scheduled for surgery because I had 10 inches of blood clots in this arm. So even though Western medicine has some things about it that are broken, Western medicine saved my life, and I'm profoundly grateful. Sophia, there's that gratitude coming in. Grateful to be alive. But here's what happened after the surgery. They put me on warfarin, which is a blood thinner, and they also use it to poison rats. This is our solution. So I did it. I didn't want to, but I went, if that's what I have to do to clear this from my system in the moment, that's great. So 6 months go by and I do this, and I was not allowed to eat leafy green vegetables the entire time. You don't know me, but that's a tragedy because I love my salads and I love my greens, and I couldn't do it. And at the end I said, so, okay, help me understand why or how did this happen? And what can I do to prevent it from happening in the future? And there were no answers. So I had to go on this long, convoluted journey. Literally, they couldn't tell. They said, you could stay on warfarin for the rest of your life, but if you do, and you're on it for an extended period of time and you bump into a chair or you fall down, you could bleed to death. from internal bleeding because you will have no coagulation and clotting in your system. And I went, that's not a solution. So this started me on a long, convoluted journey of trying to find solution and becoming my own best health advocate, because I wasn't going to get that help from the system. And I want to tell you this quote from Harvard Health blog, Take Control of Your Health Care. Physicians study for years to become doctors and bring their scientific knowledge and clinical acumen to the office and the bedside. Patients may not have those skills, but they know their own bodies, their tolerance for treatment, and the manner in which they are comfortable receiving care. That's by Carolyn A. Bernstein. So I posit that as we take charge and as we start to learn how to advocate for ourselves, that's what's going to change it, one woman at a time. Man, you're welcome to listen to, everybody's welcome, but I'm specifically focusing here today on women. And there are 3 things that I would say to consider. And this goes, again, I love the synchronicity of our talking today, what Sophia was talking about and Ramona was talking about. And here's the first thing that I have on my schedule. 1, you are worth it and you matter. If you can know that to the core of your being and believe it and accept it and live from that place, it changes everything. Really, it changes everything. And then if you live, I see that agreement, Ramona, thank you. And Sophia, for those times when we don't believe it, and the monster, as you so eloquently put it, Sophia, comes and tells us a different message. If we know it and we've decided and we've intended to say, I am worth it and I matter, then we can deal with whatever comes along. And we can keep returning to that decision of I do matter and I'm worth it. Second thing, becoming aware of what's happening in our bodies. Becoming aware. Well, I'm here, I'm listening to you. I'm breathing, I'm eating, I'm doing this. What do you mean aware? This is what I mean. I think we have lived from the neck up for most of our lives. Certainly in the Western world. I can't speak for some of the other cultures in other places of the world because I haven't lived there. But we've lived in our minds and we've credited our thoughts as the highest form of everything. And I don't necessarily believe that's true. I don't know about you, but that's where I'm at. And I love to say this way of looking at it. Our bodies are not an inconvenient receptacle for housing our mind and carrying it around. It's not just a thing that we have to breathe and water and feed and clothe and house and socialize. It's actually, as Ramona said, a valuable tool. It's a valuable source of wisdom. It's a place where our intuition speaks from sometimes. I believe our bodies are whispering to us all the time. And when we don't pay attention to those whispers, they start to get louder.
Yeah.
They start to get louder. And sometimes they get so loud that they scream at us. And they say, okay, if you're not going to pay attention to my whisper, then I'm going to yell at you. So when you become aware of what's happening in your body, then you can start to pay attention and take action on it. And here's a tip. This is the third thing on this aspect. Unless it's something acute, definitely go take care of it. But if it's something you're just starting to pay attention to, like maybe I have had a little bit of a pain in my toe, my right big toe on my foot. Okay, so use a journal, take some notes. Look at it over time and go, is it progressing? Is it getting better? Is it getting worse? Make some notes on that. So again, you're worth it, you matter, become aware of what's happening in your body, and take some notes over time. And here's what you can expect, I believe, from visiting your doctor or healthcare practitioner. Instead of just going and showing up and going, okay, I've got this issue. there are so many things you can do to be proactive ahead of time. The first one is, if you're taking your notes and you're being aware of what's going on in your body, then you have something already that you've been paying attention to that you can bring with you. I also recommend talking to a friend. You are not alone. Even if you feel alone, there are people around who will listen. So don't feel like you have to talk to go through all what you're going through alone. I'm sure Sophia would agree with that. I'm sure Ramona would agree with that. Yes, and we haven't heard Linda yet, but I suspect she'll agree with that too. Be prepared ahead of time. Know what you're going to talk about. Talk to a friend. Write out your questions. They have what they call this white coat syndrome. Sometimes we go into a doctor's office with a medical professional and we just think, oh, they're so much better than us. They've studied and they know all the answers. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. So to help yourself remember, there's no shame in taking notes. So bring your notes, write out your questions. And the next one, come in with confidence. You have the right to be listened to. You have the right to be heard. And so when you come in to an appointment with a doctor or medical professional, if that's your attitude, it's going to change the whole way that the appointment goes. And if you struggle with that, because self-confidence hasn't been your number one strength, let's call it, you could bring a friend with you. You could bring a friend with you. And when you do get in there with the doctor or with the healthcare practitioner, ask your questions until you get the answers that you're looking for. Yes. And if the doctor doesn't have an answer, because that doctor might not, then at least make sure they point you in a path that you can get answers. And I would say if a doctor cannot give you that, there are other resources. A shameless plug here for Mind Myself. It's a wonderful place to start, and all the information is free. So if you want some help asking your questions or saying what are some of the alternatives or complementary treatments out there, it's a great resource for you. And all of the information is credited. Wherever we got it from, it's all credited. As I was doing research for our talk here, I came across this phrase, the trust gap. There is a trust gap happening, and that's what they're calling it, between the people who run the medical system and the healthcare practitioners. They have a massive trust gap. Then there's another trust gap between the medical practitioners and us, particularly as women. And I've been watching this show. I don't know if anybody's seen it. It's fairly new. It's on Apple TV, and it's called Lessons in Chemistry. And it's a really fascinating exploration of what was happening to women in the 50s and 60s in North America. And the central character is a chemist, and she gets dismissed summarily because just women are secretaries. Not that there's anything wrong with being a secretary, but she just gets dismissed because she's a woman. So this trust gap between the decision makers and the healthcare people, I know some suggestions have been from those higher ups and research that's been done. They're saying diversify your healthcare workforce. Yes, let's make it happen. Invest in prevention. What a concept! Preventing illness before it starts and living better. What a concept, indeed. And if they only would, everything would change. And then the third solution they suggest is listen, listen, listen. Well, of course. But that's for them to implement, and I wish they would. In the meantime, for that trust gap between our medical professionals and us, step into our power. You can do it. Step into your power. Be clear what you want and what you need. And be brave in asking for what you want and what you need. Be grateful for your health and your power. Listen to your intuition. Be prepared and ask for what you want and what you need. And I believe you should expect respect. You should expect care and compassion. You could expect to have a personalized treatment for you, not a cookie cutter solution. And you could expect your practitioner, if you find a good one, which I hope you do, you could expect that they're willing to work with other professionals to help you, or at least refer you somewhere. And you could expect them to take a bit of time with you. That's my hope anyway. And that's where I hope that the medical model is moving to. And if it's not in the Western medicine model, I know there are many, many, many practitioners on the complementary and holistic side who have those values. And it's important for us to take the time to live in those values and look for some that are complementary to us. So where to begin today? Start with one thing. Pick one thing. Believe that you're worth it. Do some research. Again, feel free to check out Mind Myself. Prioritize yourself and take action. When you do those things, you have a chance to become the best advocate for your own health that there ever was. So I leave you with this thought. Golda Paretsky, she says, do something every day that is loving towards your body and gives you the opportunity to enjoy the sensations of your body. It's not just from here up, it's your whole being, body, mind, emotions, and spirit. Thank you.
Right, I remember to take myself off mute that time. Oh, awesome. Thank you, Esther. Yes,
Thank you.
a lot of what you were saying resonates with me. So yes, looking forward to the Q&A. And right now, Linda, you're almost up. So introducing our final speaker for this evening, or this afternoon, or morning, depending where you're jumping in from. I'd like to introduce Linda Kattan, or Kattan. You can correct me afterwards. So, as a reluctant empty nest mom, Linda got through the difficult sandwich stage of kids going off to college and caring for her elderly parents as they went through their dying process, while at the same time her marriage of almost 30 years was crumbling around her. Instead of shrinking from these difficult challenges, she saw her coming of age as a major shift and opportunity to up-level and take back control from those who kept her playing small her entire life just to fit in and be loved. Linda's journey led her to not just become a manifestation coach. Her pursuit to get deep healing for herself and others culminated in her becoming a Master Practitioner of NLP, a certified NLP coach, life shift accelerator, Theta Healing expert, love coach, intuitive reader, energy healer, and most recently, an Instant Miracle Practitioner. Linda, what more is to be said? I turn it over to you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for having me here today. And wow, what a powerful panel of speakers today, and me bringing it up the rear. So kudos to all of you. Beautiful. We all seem to kind of meld together. And the thing I'm actually here to talk about is stress, because I'm here on the West Coast of the United States, and we have this little thing called Thanksgiving coming up. And then right after that, we have Christmas. Then, we're also, if you're in business, you're pushed into the year end. So there's a lot of stress going on, and we've kind of touched upon that quite a bit here today. So I just wanted to pop up my my slides here real quick. If you'll bear with me, I'll hopefully be able to share everything properly. Actually, let's go back to the beginning of that. Yes, there we go. I don't think that's going to share in the proper way. Are you seeing? No, I've lost everything. One more time. Here we go. Technology, love it, hate it all at the same time, right? So let's go here, and there we go. Beautiful. So wonderful. So, oh good, I get to see you guys too. So stress. This has been a real big monster. I love the word that Sophia used, monster, in my life. I was raised in a very stressful household where I was constantly under threat of bodily harm. There was constant screaming and yelling. And as a sensitive, empathic child, I best handled this by being as invisible and as quiet as possible. So to the extent of even hiding inside of myself, if you can understand what that's like. So the inner child hiding down inside and taking refuge and deep inside of me. And it's been quite the journey of bringing her back up, coaxing her out, and bringing her out so that I can actually get up and speak to you today and in other ways. Hopefully you are seeing my slides, because I'm going to go. You are. Okay, great. Thank you. Actually supposed to have hit play, and then they can advance. And it doesn't look like it wants to. Okay. Oh, maybe I don't have control. Carol, not sure. Oh, there we go. There we go. All right. So stress is the leading cause of visits to the doctor in the United States. I found this out when I started going into the doctor regularly for crazy things. They never knew what was wrong with me, and they'd send me home with some pill or, go rest or something. And, with time, I could bring it back and get healthy again. But, doctors reporting 75% to 90% of symptoms that they see are stress related. That I certainly was a part of that statistic. The American Institute says, 75 to 90, WebMD, 75 to 90, and that 120,000 people die each year directly as a result of work-related stress. Now, I don't know what all that number encompasses. I know that Sophia mentioned suicide, and that number, I don't know if that includes that or not, but it would probably be even higher than that. So we all know what stress looks like. We all deal with it day in and day out. This was me as I was, in the throes of, as my bio stated, dealing with 2 small children, dealing with a highly narcissistic parent, dealing with a husband that was MIA, and dealing with my parents' dying process. So all of this was happening over a good 20-year period of time. I was in and out of the hospital. Even before that, when I was going through school, finishing up my my graduate degree, I ended up in the hospital 4 times, doubled over with complete pain. I was completely down and out, completely not functioning at all. After the birth of my second child, the doctor said, hey, you look, actually, they didn't find this out for a year. I was diagnosed a year later. I kept going in. Couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. I had postpartum depression. Had no idea. 2 small babies, dealing with that as a brand new mother. And one of the solutions, because I wanted to go get like biofeedback or something. I wanted something that was really going to make a difference in my life. And I've been seeing this my whole life, something that was played out on TV. I think I first saw it like on The Bionic Woman or something like that, or The $6 Million Man. I'm dating myself. But, this whole idea of the science, right? Yes, $6 Million Man. Yeah. The first thing that she said was, no, we have to go get you a mouth plate. And the idea for the mouth plate was because I was waking up with my jaw clenched, completely locked from the stress. And instead of dealing with the stress, the idea was, well, you have to get this dental insert. So it was quite expensive, took another 2 weeks. And I got home with that dental insert that first night, put it in. The next day, I woke up with my tongue clenched tightly on my tongue. I was in agony when I woke up in the morning. I couldn't get my jaw to open up. It took a really long time. And I was in just absolute disbelief that this was happening. Went back to the doctor, sent me to psychiatrists, put me on the antidepressant drugs. They also sent me to a psychologist who taught me the biofeedback. The biofeedback entailed putting probes on my head, on my jaw, my body, measuring the stress in my body. And he had this computer, and I'm all hooked up to this thing. And he says, "Do you see all those red bars over there?" I'm like, "Yes." And he said, "They're supposed to be green. You're sitting in a recliner. I just put you back. You clenched your jaw and you're all in the red." So I was a mess. And I can tell you, with the postpartum depression, not functioning with my two babies, they had to go into childcare. It killed me to have to do that. And it took me about a year to work my way out of this. And so this really did start my process in healing myself. And I love that Esther brought that up, because I had to be my own advocate. I was not the drug that I was put on. They kept upping that, and I'd crash. They'd up it and I crashed. It got to the point like, "Doc, how long am I going to be on it? Like, when do I get off of this? And where does this end?" And I was already on 30 milligrams of this stuff, and I go flying high and then crash. And they put me on more. So, well, alcoholics go on 50 milligrams. I was on 30. This was not an answer that was sustainable for me. And it was not at all what I was planning for myself, or for my health, or for my children. So I'm Linda Kattan. It's pronounced Kattan, but you can pronounce it anyway. And it does have two T's. Most people skip the T, but I'm a life shift accelerator. That is my own brand. And I'm an instant miracle practitioner. I started out as an energy healer, because it's when I got into the energy healing when all of this started to make sense to me. And I could really get myself off of the red alert that I was on, because my fight or flight was stuck. And at least I did find that out from the medical community, that my fight or flight was stuck in the on position. I had no idea. It was stuck in the on position from childhood. So I've been dealing with this for over 40 years. And it was quite the shock to me to have to learn how to breathe. That was really difficult. Breathing down at the diaphragm. I was breathing like 30 plus breaths a minute, and I was supposed to be at like 8. And it took 2 weeks for me to finally get myself to slow that back down again. It was really, really difficult, but I stuck with it and it worked. And so I was able to get past also the insomnia that was coming along with that. Just being on needles and pens the whole time that I was raising my beautiful children. I wanted to be a good mommy for them. And so the journey was necessary. This is me kind of after, on the other side of all of the angst of all of the trials and tribulations. My parents had passed away. My husband at the time was gone. He just wasn't even around. So it was time to move on. And this is, I think, a really good example of that. I'm on my way into a new paradigm. So I have 3 outcomes for you today. I'm going to go through this quickly. I want to share a tool with you, because I want to have you all get an experience of what it was that I've learned along the way. So I want to give you a tool to, on command, to eliminate or lower that stress for you. I'd like to introduce you to the Instant Miracle Healing technique that I've used and others have used to help thousands of people, both in love, health, career, and abundance. And my third outcome is I'm going to make a special offer. It is Black Friday coming up here in the United States. So I've got a doorbuster offer for you at the end of my presentation. My first gift is to give you an anchor. So as an NLP practitioner, this is one of the first things that I loved and started practicing with everyone and all of my clients that I could find. My family, I've gotten people on airplanes who were throwing up in the bathroom with just this type of technique. So it really does work. And that's major stress when you're in the bathroom vomiting because you're so afraid to fly. So if you would like, I would love for you to follow along with me, and you can go ahead and close your eyes and just make sure you're not driving. There's no machinery going on. You're in a quiet place. I have to say that. And I'd like you to just take a hold of your wrist for right now. And I want you to take a nice deep breath in. And that's right. Just release that. Just come right back into your body. That's right. Just be present. Let's take one more deep breath. And that's right. So good just to relax just a little bit here. This is just time for you. No one to please. There's nothing to do. So I'd like you to imagine that you're in the safest place that you have ever been in your life. That may be in your own home, in your own room, in your own cozy place. It might be back in the womb. I don't know, wherever that is. I'd like you to imagine that you can be in the safest, most beautiful place. It might be your couch or your recliner. Resting and relaxing in the evening. That's right. And just go there and be in that safe place. And if you don't have a safe place, you can just go ahead and create one in your head. You can just be in a beautiful garden that nobody else has the key to. You can walk right into that garden and you can close the door behind you and you can find a cozy spot and just relax in that beautiful garden. And breathe. That's right. I want you to see what you see in this beautiful place, in this safe place. Turn the colors up bigger and brighter. That's right. Really experience them. I want you to hear what you're hearing. Are you hearing birds singing in the background? Are you hearing the faint chant of crickets? Are you hearing a beautiful song? Go ahead and hear what you're hearing. Just turn up the volume and just really enjoy it. And what are you smelling? Are there some beautiful scents? Some jasmine, some beautiful poppies, lavender. Smell that now. That's right. And I'd like you to really feel how safe and how truly relaxed you are right here in this beautiful place. And just relax even more, just flowing into that beautiful melting feeling into your body, just feeling so safe and so relaxed. That's right. Go ahead and let go of your wrist. I want you to continue to just relax even more and breathe even deeper. That's right. That's right. You can go ahead and open your eyes and come on back to me. Wonderful. If you could in the chat, let me know what it is that you were experiencing. I can't see that chat right now, but I'm going to move on. But please let me know. What did you experience, as a result of doing this 90-second exercise, really? And you can take this and you can use this anytime. And the more you use that, again, just taking a light hold of your wrist, taking you right back down into that beautiful feeling. So again, in the chat, if you just let me know what that was like. The second gift that I want to give you is peace and calm. So I'd like you to think of, we've got this end of the year stress coming up. I've got the stress of the holidays. Am I going to travel over the mountain? Is it going to be snowing? I mean, we got snow over here, over the Sierra Nevada already. There's all kinds of things going on in this week, in this month, in the next, 30 days. I'd like you to think of something that just kind of stresses you out. Maybe there was a conversation. Maybe there was something that you didn't like. Maybe something kind of set you off or triggered you a little bit. I'd like you just to kind of think of something that's kind of stressed you out a little bit. Just bring that up in your mind. And you can go ahead and close your eyes now. And I want you to notice where that is in your body. Where are you kind of feeling that in your body? Now, Esther was talking about the body, and this is what we do. We place stuff, things that bother us, get kind of locked up. That's right. A lot of men will come to me and they'll point to their heart right now. The women will usually point to their heads and point to that area where you're feeling most of that discomfort. And I'd like you to give it a rating of 1 to 10. If you don't have something, that's fine. Just go deeper and more relaxed. You can just take this time out. But most people have a little bit of stress going on somewhere. And again, locating that in your body and get an idea of what that number is. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever that is. I love that Esther is relaxing and moving that energy already. That's right. So I'd like you to just now allow that sensation. Just allow it to be. We're not trying to get rid of anything, right? We just want to accept that it's there because it is. When we resist is when it gets bigger. Right? I'm going to ignore it. I'm going to take a pill. I'm going to do something that comes back. So just allow it to be. That's right. And I want you to do something really counterintuitive right now. I want you just to start sending love right to the center of that area in you, right to the center. That's right. That's right. Just sending it more and more love. Even more love. even tap in. You can tap into the unconditional love of the God of your heart and just let that come right through your heart space and right to the area. And just notice what you notice. That's right. That's right. I'm helping out over here with your eyes closed, but I am helping out with high energy, frequency energy, and some other little tools that as an energy healer that I use. I just wanted to give you a real powerful experience today. That's right. That's right. And just send it even more love. That's right. So good. Really good. And now I'll just ask you to come on back. And again, I don't have the chat, but if you could give me the chat, where did you start? What number do you feel out? How are you relaxed? Are you feeling more peace, more calm? That's what usually people do report. And I'll continue. But if you could put that in the chat and I can go check back on it later, I appreciate that. The technology is kind of a pain to jump back and forth. So good. Again, in the chat, what was that like for you? Where in your body was that? It is concerning when I talk to men and I find out, where is that? And they're pointing straight to their heart. A lot of migraines for women. And, these things can usually be moved out within a matter of minutes. And that is how powerful you are. The key is awareness. And that's already come up today. It is being aware of what's going on inside of your body. And as you can see, in a short amount of time, we're able to, clear some stressors. I was just I did a webinar on Monday, actually, and we were using these tools about manifestation, and everything ended up, where the stress, where this angst is in the body. And we moved out, somebody had chronic knee issues using a cane, and her name was Christine. And in 4 minutes, she had to go. She had like 5 minutes. In 4 minutes, she had moved that out. Even I was shocked at how fast that was. So again, powerful tools. How I use this process to get these fast results from my clients is that it's up to the client. They use them all different ways, which I'm sure that all the clients of the ladies here today do. Some want it for romantic relationships. Some are using it to find their soulmate. They want to improve health. Get clear on goals, execute, break through money blocks, achieve the goals that they've been working on for their lifetime, make more sales, achieve success that they've always dreamed of, create a life that they love, because who wants to live a life that you don't love, right? Let's start creating things that we do love, right? Let's live a life we love, please. It is in our control. We are actually in control of that. So again, in the chat, if you let me know, what shifted for you and what you found most valuable in our time together, I'd appreciate that. This process has helped me to get off of fight or flight. And the fight or flight is something that I trained my body to do when I was very, very young. So I can get triggered still, somebody can slam on the brakes in the car and I'm, or something can fly out at me and I'm right. But I can bring myself back down. I used to stay in that fight or flight. It could last for hours and days. And then I would take that in and have a short fuse, right? And then all this stuff is going on. Somebody come along, I'm triggered and wow, right? So we want to take ourselves off of fight or flight with that breath first, and then using this technique and others that will improve everything in your life. Again, I'm a Master Practitioner of NLP, Instant Miracle Practitioner, Intuitive Healer. The list is extensive because my life journey was about finding fast results. I did the thing. I went out trying to find ways to heal myself, and I was frustrated on many different levels. And I went out on a journey to find the best healers that I can find. I paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to learn everything that I've come up against and that they've been able to learn and absorb, so I can get real results for myself and for my loved ones and for my family. Actually, the loved one that I got on the plane was my nephew. He was going to my daughter's graduation at NYU. We're all getting on the plane and we were late. Traffic was horrible on the way to San Francisco. And my sister said, Kyle's in the bathroom. I'm going to go call him. He's coming out right now. She gets on the plane because they're boarding and we're standing. And the anchor that I did with you, that's what I did to get him relaxed. and get him on the plane. And not only did he get on the plane, he actually came back and he booked with his buddies a trip to Europe when he graduated. So that was such a big win. And it's just so heartwarming for me to be able to provide that knowledge for someone and to facilitate that he could go. And he's gotten on many planes now, so I'm very excited. So the special offer I have today, because we have this wonderful holiday coming up and we have this thing called Black Friday sale, I've got a stress buster course that I put together that covers all of the fight or flight, how to get off, how to do the proper breathing, and some grounding and releasing exercises. You'll love it. Just go ahead and pop over to lindakattan.com/stress, STRESS. I'll put that up in a minute. The results you're going to get more peace, more calm, more safety, more relaxed, more passion, more clarity, just, just all around improvement. You're going to save over 90% on this today. It's lindakattan.com/stress. You can reach me as well, just at hello@lindakattan.com at the bottom of the screen. I do have, Thelma's story. Yeah. So Thelma is my hairdresser. I'm going to get to see her tomorrow. But Thelma was cutting my hair back in September, and she was having some issues, and she was complaining, I'm trying to get pregnant. I haven't been able to do it. I got this back pain. And I'm like listening to this, and I asked her a question that kind of blew open the boundaries for her. And then she started really, what's going on here? And I said, well, you have a double bind, right? You want to get pregnant, but you've got this back pain. And she was going down the rabbit hole of, if I get pregnant and have this back pain, I can't work anymore. How are we going to survive, right? She was in survival mode. So I did a little process with her while I was there. And she, on the left side, sent me a text back on September 19th and said that she was pregnant, and that the back pain actually resolved itself. And on the right, this was actually 2 days ago, and she said that she's feeling better now from the nausea and all of that, and that her back has held out and that it's great. So yes, right. And then Tori worked with me. She was a janitor, and she was ultimately, as a result of working with me, ended up pursuing her BS in chemical engineering. So you can't make this stuff up. Here's her letter to me back in July of 22, where she tells me about the love of her life coming in, and that she's going to, I was just shocked, had no idea, and neither did she know that this was going to transpire. So we moved the blocks out of her way, and she was able to really skyrocket. So I've got an upcoming 2-day event, Instant Miracle Experience. I'm an affiliate with, for this experience with Christian Michelson, and putting this on, and with his help and leading into an even more fabulous ways to use these techniques. That's going to be December 12th and 13th. I don't even have my links up yet, but I'm announcing it. And if you'd like to hear more about it, just go to hello@lindakattan.com and let me know, hey, I heard this thing that you were talking about, Instant Miracle Experience. I want that. Again, over 90% on the stress buster. Go ahead and click on that link now. I'll go ahead and put it in. I'll put it in the chat as I kind of get off here. So thank you so much for allowing me to come and to be a part of this amazing panel. And thank you. And I'll go back and look at some of the remarks and where your numbers were. And I will go ahead and pop into I need to go over to everyone, pop in my my information. There it is.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Linda. So we've heard from all 4 of our speakers. Finishing off with Linda, we've had Esther, Salo, Ramona Mooney, Sophia Manorales. Thank you. And just a few hellos from some who joined us lately. Marcy, Marcel, Christina, a warm welcome to you. And I'm going to open up the floor now for Q&A. Let me take myself off spotlight. Okay, let me remove my spotlight. Okay, so we have had an amazing time. Some valuable, and I mean absolutely valuable, techniques which have been shown to us. And Linda, thank you so much for taking us through that exercise. Mine was my knee. So yes. Okay, Naresh has had to go, but any questions from our speakers? And if you've missed the beginning, at some point the recording will be uploaded to the YouTube channel, Kushalia UK YouTube. Okay. Don't be shy. Go on, Ramona. Oh.
I have a question for Linda. I'm familiar with pulling energy out of people's bodies, and I'm wondering what your practice is for keeping their energy out of your body.
Oh.
I love that, because it's actually in the program that I am putting up for that 90% off deal today. I teach grounding. So grounding and protection around the body, the aura, and keeping that away. And again, the awareness, knowing that the stuff's around you, because like you said, the energy is, especially for me, it can come in and attach. And I had somebody who hooked in on me and I didn't realize. It was like, what's happening? My energy is getting drained. And these, people can cord into you and start siphoning. They're called energy vampires. Not the, that's what we call them. But yeah, we remove those cords and, get that filled back in with your energy. The thing is to have, the awareness and grounding, getting rid of all that stuff, and knowing when someone is in your space and pushing that back out again. Protection first, like protecting myself before I even came on this call today. Sometimes I'll forget and I'll get on a call and all of a sudden all this stuff's happened. I'm like, I gotta go ground. I'll be right back. So yeah, just awareness and taking care of yourself. This is the ultimate in self-care.
Yeah, I hear you. I suggest that people focus from the top of their head to the bottom of their feet. This is you, and you're the ruler of it. You're the boss. I had a man object when I said, you're the boss of yourself. And he goes, I am. And so I repeated it 2 more times. Yeah.
Excellent question. Thank you.
And if I may, Ramona, I love that you told him that. I mean, he needed to hear that, because that little boy in him was used to mom and dad being the boss, and then the wife was the boss.
Yeah. I mean, I looked at him and for a minute there, he was that sweet and innocent. Mm-hmm. And so I know to repeat, it's going to get more, we all learn from repetition. So that's why I said it 2 more times.
You do great work.
Thanks. I have another question. Sorry. For Sophia. I had an experience that was like a perfect storm. My fiance was like not happening after 3 years of investing in him. My son was marrying a woman that was really bad for him. And I didn't want to lose my son by telling him that. Mm. And several other things were happening. And I had an experience where, get this, I'm in my apartment and all of a sudden I'm going down in a hole. And I'm going fairly fast down this hole. And before I hit bottom, I woke up. And I went, and I was in my body again, like we were just talking about. And so my legs became like a spring when I hit the bottom, and I sprung all the way back up and boom, back into my apartment. And it felt terrible. That whole thing about being down that shaft. And I just said, wow, is that what depression feels like? So my question is, is it just me because I'm very visual and creative that I thought that way? Or in your coaching, do you have a lot of people who come up with very different definitions for their depression experiences?
Well, it's been a long time. I mean, right now in the last few years, I've been mostly coaching people before they get to that point. But if I think back, for the most part, the people I have seen when I was mostly focused on counseling and doing even short-term work, from employee assistance program contracts, we wouldn't have that much time with the clients at the time, but more often enough, I would get people that were already experiencing a deeper episode, right? Not just like, this sounds like it was very momentary and, you were able to.
It was probably a couple seconds long, but
Right.
it took a long time to hit the bottom of that. And I just when I saw the bottom, I went, holy shit. And I was just back in my body like that. And then I just thought, I'll just spring back up. And it's funny because my legs almost turned into a big spring.
So I'm not sure what to call what that experience was, but definitely given how much you are very intuitive, right? I mean, we all have the power to be intuitive, but you've clearly tapped into your intuition.
Since childhood.
Further levels, right? So
I never relinquished it. I use it for everything.
So there you go. I think the fact that you are that tapped into your intuition and you're able to recognize what was going on way before it could like completely take you over and whatnot. I mean, that sounds like a beautiful experience, actually, to be quite honest. The fact that you managed, such an empowering one, really, that you managed to do that in that sitting, right? I personally haven't ever experienced that. I've just experienced these long-term, right? I also had a lot of trauma that I hadn't healed from one episode to the next. So the reason that other episodes took place was because I was triggering a lot of, there were triggers anyway that brought up that unresolved trauma. Imagine being frightened of going through that again, that when someone just suggested that you may be experiencing depression, and I talk about it in my book, the second and the last episode really happened like as I was exhausted. I wasn't depressed, but the mere fact that I was asked, so do you think you might be depressed? The trauma from having experienced depression at that level and having had suicide attempts and whatnot just overtook me at that point. And before you know it, a panic attack, anxiety, I created after that. Like I was pretty much the one who created my episodes just from all that anxiety of the fear of having another episode. So
right that you
what I know
recognize
now,
that.
and I've done a lot of energy work now, to be quite honest. Listening to you all today, it's been fascinating, and at the same time, I'm loving that you are speaking to this, because there are not enough people that know about these healing modalities and how they could help someone, prevent them from becoming depressed, or helping them heal their trauma, or helping them heal from depression. And now I'm championing this, right? Like, I don't want to offer my services and coaching for someone who's depressed without collaborating with someone who's also doing the energy work, right? And absolutely, because this is what has helped me ever since writing my book. As I was writing it, I mean, it developed into a part 2, because I wasn't able to get that last depressive episode in that book. As I started writing, all that unresolved trauma came up. I was unfortunately going up, anxious, nightmare.
You want to be offering a solution along with addressing.
So now in part 2 of the book, I'm able, because of all this energy work that I've done and the inner child work, and I'm able to write part 2 and give vivid detail about what happened in the last episode without this, right? So, and then I am speaking to the healing modalities that a lot of you covered today on this call, because I don't think my training, having a master's in psychotherapy and counseling psychology, I find extremely limited. Once upon a time I thought I knew, but I find extremely limited, and I would not want to offer my services to I could help quite a few people, prevent them from getting there, right? But for those who are in it, I would absolutely want to offer, like some other part to the package where, okay, you're absolutely doing this energy work as we're going along. So going back to your initial question, I haven't personally experienced this one one instance, right? It wasn't even a day. It was a moment that you, but I find that now being as more intuitive as I am and understanding energy significantly more than ever before, I personally believe that I'll never experience what I have experienced in the past, and that I'll be able to pick myself up the way you just described that you were able to do in the moment.
Yeah. I have another question, but this one's for Esther. Sorry, I'm just an information nut. Esther, there was a time when I realized that I didn't like any of the answers from my doctors. And these were University of Michigan gastrointestinal specialists. It's like, even the name makes you want to like, okay, I'll do it, But no, I was going, this is not my tribe. I don't want this prescription medicine anymore because it says on the bottle you need to stay out of the sun. I tried it once on a beach and total hives. Okay, so I thought, wait a minute, I need the sun. Ramona Mooney needs sunshine, So so I told my doctor I wanted to be off of this prescription drug, and he said the only alternative was surgery. And he said, we'll just remove that part of your colon. And he goes, you'd have to wear a bag. And I instantly went, oh, well, there goes the bikini, in my Italian way. And but I went to the support group, and it was very clear they were not my tribe. So I walk out of this huge building, like mega bucks, and I get outside and I raised my hands to the sky and I said, God, lead me to not just being healed. I want supreme health the rest of my life. I'm going to start walking. Show me the way. And I mean, I work out. I don't have the problem. Maybe it rears up if I allow stress in my life. I work out 5 days a week for a half hour. And I have a number of things that I share with people on my website about that are very innovative for keeping you healthy, because I use them every day. Yeah.
So do you have a question for me, or because that's a great story that you're sharing.
I love that you're championing this, because so many women and men and as well don't know they can question their doctor. They don't know they can fire their doctor. I mean, when I start with a new doctor, this is what I say. I'm in charge. From here to the bottom of my feet, this is me. I'm in charge. You know more than me, a lot more than me. So as long as your information is helping me get well, then I'll stay with you.
Well, it's a good screening method for yourself, I would say. And yes, I encourage everybody, ask questions, know what your values are. And if your doctor or healthcare practitioner doesn't match, find someone else, even if it takes a while. And one of the things that I love that I didn't have when I was on my journey was on the Mind Myself website, there are over 70 pages of descriptions of different health modalities. I didn't have that. I mean, yes, you can look, but how do you know what to look for? I didn't know about somatic experiencing. There are a whole bunch of energy medicine modalities that I didn't know. I've sure learned a lot in the last 3 years, let me tell you. So yeah, I'd say keep trying. It's body, mind, and spirit, because it's all connected. Really, it is.
For sure.
Thanks for sharing that story.
You're welcome.
Absolutely phenomenal. Oh, Christina, go for it.
So I've had a lot of counseling, coaching, and I've also done the cord cutting, which was amazing. And for me, I feel like I have an intuition and I recognize it, but I don't know how to tap into it because it always comes after the fact that I say, oh, I knew that. So even recently, last week, I was saying to myself, I need to get into yoga. I need to get to the gym to build my core. And then on Saturday, my back just completely went and I literally can't move. I'm on painkillers, diazepam, which I'm going to stop in a couple of days. But how do you recognize that intuition?
So the question's for me?
Anybody?
Because I think I think Linda can really handle this well.
Sorry, I think we were coming out at the same time. Forgive me. Yeah, I think mainly to trust yourself, which was mentioned today, and setting the intention that yes, you are intuitive and that yes, you do know your own body. And for those who really question, because we were not raised believing in our intuition, listening to it, we were conditioned to do the opposite. Right. So getting back in touch with your body by asking your body, hey, body, I'm going to go do this. You know, we want to go to the gym today. How do you feel? Body test. And you can, I've got that somewhere online too, but you could just say, hey, body, do you want to work out today? And it'll say yes. And if it takes me back, it'll say no. I like this one because body pendulum, or there's also some other body testing techniques. Muscle testing is basically what it's called. But yeah, tune into your body because your body knows it all.
Yes, very much. Your body has intelligence. And when you just slow down, and like I mentioned, I have this PDF that is an empty head exercise. If you empty your head of every thought, and it's easy to do. Once you know how to do it, it's really fun. You get your entire body to relax. And then you can ask it any question because you've stopped the chatter, you know, the woulds, the shoulds, the coulds, you know, all those.
I'd like to add one quick thing, Christina, in addition to what these beautiful women have been saying. Once you get to that state of mind and you are listening to your intuition, once you get there and you're on medications right now, there are some natural solutions. There is phototherapy, light therapy. There are some supplementing kind of things that people are having. There are some natural ways to deal with pain. And I'm associated with one. If you have any questions, I put my information in the chat earlier. Happy to do it again if you don't have that. But there are some solutions that can really work with helping you heal your pain really quickly. In addition to the amazing work that Ramona and Linda do, that this can be really supportive for you. So that was another idea too. Thank you.
And Christina, I just taught you a process where you just go to the pain, be with it, don't try to fight it, and just send it lots and lots of love and see how it starts moving around. Because if it's moving around, that kind of gives you some information about what that really is. Give it a try.
Raquel.
Hi. Thank you, ladies, so much for your narrative.
I have one more question for Linda. Your $27 course, I'm trying to do it on my phone right now. And is that a certain time frame or can I watch it anytime?
You can watch that anytime. Yeah, no, yeah, it's a self-paced. I think Raquel was asking a question.
Yes, she was.
Thank you. And I really want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. I feel like I needed to be on this call tonight. And although I was aware of it, I think situations of the day unfolded so I could make the call tonight. And it has felt that each of you has been a bit of a puzzle. And as your narratives unfolded and as you shared vulnerably, it was like a story from one person to the next, even though you're all so unique and individual, but like collectively, it really spoke powerfully to me. And I'm thinking a lot at the moment. So I just want to share about how I, through the past few years, have been through a lot of very trying, testing, and difficult circumstance, whether that has been 3 times contemplating suicide, over a progress of maybe a good decade or something. I suffered a mild concussion recently from an autistic student and was in A&E twice. I'm a lot better now, but I have some flares of head pains. And I've noticed it can get triggered by stressful and fast-paced situations in life. Just come out of a divorce, and my ex has just recently been remarried. I'm still in the process of battling for fair custody of my children. I've nearly been homeless, but have just been climbing my way up from being in supported housing and living in so many different house situations. And there are moments where I just feel like, okay, I just need to ground myself, like, and take one day at a time. I'm currently studying art therapy from being an artist practitioner, and I have noticed that fueling my trauma and pain experiences has helped me to make some really interesting creative work. But art therapy recently has provided me a toolkit to just go much deeper to my past, my child self, understanding me as a whole, and then to be able to understand others. And so I would like to ask from all of you, because you know, whether it's the body energy, the depressions, you know, the suicidal elements, or the intuition, or the shifts. I know a couple of you have mentioned that also you've left your partners. What is it that helps you go from painful, difficult, tragic life circumstances where perhaps you may have felt like, am I even going to make the next day? What helps you to kind of get from survival instinct to then thriving? And I know some of you, like Linda, Kattan, I mean, all of you have shared fantastic testimonies of your victory that's come out of pain. But there's one gem that you could say in a sentence for each of you, the 4 of you, that I can just write down very quickly now. I would love to hear. Thanks.
If I could jump in, I just say, I feel you. Going through my divorce was the hardest thing I'd ever done in my life. I knew that my children were not going to take it well. One of them took it extremely badly, and it's been 3 years and she's still not processing it. So for me, it really was making sure I was surrounded by loved ones. I had that support. I had my sister's support, and believing in myself and knowing that I mattered. That I mattered to my children, and that I was definitely going to get, you know, during the whole process, and you know, all the slights and him wanting to leave me on the street, basically. Luckily in my country, the laws would not allow that. But still, it was always a fight, and it was awful, and just grounding and releasing that, and not letting it get into my body, because it could have made me very ill back in the day. And just knowing that I was going to get through it. This too shall pass. I kept saying this is going to pass. It's going to be over as soon as, you know, we take the step, one step after another, get all the way down the road, and know that there's a future version of you that is on the other side of it. And it's one of the things that I help people do, is go into that future version of you and look back, having already completed all of this, and knowing that you're lovingly waiting for yourself on the other side, and that you do know the steps to get there. And you do have, you know, let that future version of you take you hand in hand and lead you down the way.
I got shivers in my spine. Thank you. Fantastic.
You're on mute, Ramona.
I can suggest something that's in my realm with imagination, intuition, awareness, and creativity, is for you to expand your awareness in the ways that Linda suggested, and also go outside and get into how green the grass is, how tall the trees are. Pick up a leaf and just like become one with the leaf. Because nature is us. We are nature. And the stress comes from being separated from it. So nature can help you, not just go take a walk and it's you taking a walk. I'm saying meld with it.
Right.
Okay.
Very good. We'll try that.
If I could make us, well, first off, wow, you're a warrior. Like, there is, all I can think of, I'm like, there's also a book in Raquel waiting to be written. People are going to hear your story one day, and they're going to be really grateful that you hung on. I really want you to like hang on to that thought. Okay, because I didn't think that 12 years later I would be launching a book, especially when within those 12 years I had another episode in the first year of my marriage, and right. So thank you for sharing this with us. And as much as it's tough to think of what you could be grateful for during this time, gratitude is vital in the face of this type of adversity. So if you haven't practiced that muscle yet, I mean, it is like a muscle. And if you haven't had any tools yet, please do go to join316.com and get in my community. I have several gratitude strategies, practices in there and whatnot, among other things. But for now, I just encourage you, besides everything that was just suggested, and in terms of getting out there and grounding and all of it, absolutely. And take a moment to journal and reflect on this difficult time right now. Well, there's been a few difficult moments really in the last decade, it sounds, but just ask yourself, how can I benefit from this difficult experience? This is a way of being able to pull out something that you could actually be grateful for from everything that you have experienced up until this moment, right? How can I benefit from it? Is there something about this situation that I could be grateful for? I know at first it might be like, no, absolutely not. Like, can we please end this already? But just reflect, breathe, sit back, or go out in nature, and then ask yourself these questions. How has this experience or these experiences made me better able to deal with future experiences, right? How could this current experience possibly impact others? There's, more questions that I offer in my guides that are in the community, right? To just get you to really be able to convert this adversity into prosperity, the way I was talking about earlier, as to how I've managed to take a good chunk of my mental health related struggles and suicide attempts and turn them into a movement, right?
Yeah.
So gratitude over suffering any day. It's very hard to feel grateful and not stressed, or grateful and not angry at the same time. So actively choose gratitude. That's what I
Thank
hope.
you.
Yeah.
Such great advice from these amazing women. And my partner Bill, who's also an artist and paints beautiful feminine things, and among others, he has often said this quote, and I don't know who to attribute it to, but when you find yourself in hell, keep walking. Okay? So when you find yourself in hell, keep walking. And then there's another quote that I didn't get to, and go ahead.
I think it was Roosevelt. I think
there you go.
When you're going through hell, keep going. And
Yeah,
I think that was said like, during one of the wars, but it was just keep
and
going.
you're in a bit of a war, Raquel. So there you go. When you find yourself in hell, keep walking, because you are magnificent. Even if you don't believe it, in moments you are magnificent. And Thich Nhat Hanh says, keeping your body healthy is an expression of gratitude to the whole cosmos, the trees, the clouds, everything. So if you can do nothing else, keep walking and focus on being healthy.
Yeah, that is awesome. And Raquel, I'm just so proud of you. Raquel's a personal friend. I am just so proud of you. Those who are meant to be here tonight, were here. You were in the right place at the right time. And I thank all of our speakers for speaking to her in this very, very difficult situation that she's going through. Because I understand what she is going through, and I'm welling up because I know. And it isn't easy. So thank you so very much. Yeah. And you are greatly loved, and take on board and have a look in the chat at any offers in the links that have been shared. Yeah. And Christina, thank you so much for being here as well. It means a lot. It means a lot. And let's talk outside of this as well, Christina.
Okay. No, I know I joined late, but I do feel the energy, and it's the energy of love. And I'm just feeling it in my spirit so much. I feel a bit teary-eyed as well, just from the love in the room. Thank you, everyone.
Oh, wonderful. Yes, indeed. We're all worth it. Oh, well, we've gone past 9. Yes, we've gone past 9, but it's been worth every single second tonight. And Sophia, thank you for sharing. And connect with each other. Linda, Esther, Ramona. Yeah. We're ending on an emotional, but you know, it's been beautiful. It's been wonderful. It's been wonderful. Thank you. And thank you that all 4 of our speakers came together on the same night. Yeah. Yes, and somewhere it's 3:16. Yes, it's 9:16 here, but it's 3:16 somewhere else. Thank you. All right. I wish
Thank
you
you.
all.
I will head out now.
Bye.
Thank you all.
Save the chat for any of the links before you go.
Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Linda.
you.
Thank
Bye.
you,
Much
Esther.
healing to you. Bye for now.
Bye-bye. Oh, okay. Awesome. Oh, thank you, Ramona. You've been beautiful. Thank you. Oh, let me stop the recording.